Hello troops, Coach Craig here, and today I'm going to be covering what is fitness. It's a carryover from last week's topic, what is CrossFit. So hopefully you've seen that. Now this is our workable definition of what fitness is. First and foremost, this is my get out of jail free card. Guys, we are not saying in CrossFit, straight from the chief man, Coach Greg Glassman himself, that this is the definition of fitness. This is just most certainly the most workable definition out there to current date. Okay, there was certainly not prior to CrossFit that anything I know of a good defined terms of how you could truly measure if you were to say that person is the fittest person on planet, what would the accurate measurement of that be? Okay, so Greg worked long and hard and came up with these three workable concepts that then builds the foundation and the base to a good workable definition. So it starts with the Hopper model, guys. The Hopper model is basically the principle of how someone would fare against all tasks and all domains of fitness, okay, in complete randomization. So preparing for the unknown, the unknowable. If you did running all the time and test your fitness on swimming, you'd probably fare up quite poor against everyone else. So in there, we're going to put everything in there, anything that you can think of, guys. A 1 rep max deadlift, an 800 meter run, a marathon run, a 1 rep max snatch, 30 clean and jerks, yoga, anything you can possibly think of. And the idea being completely random, you would pull out these different tasks, these different serials, different repetition ranges, different time domains, okay, and place athletes under a test scenario of completing these. He, she comes out best across the board of their multitude of tasks would be the fittest person. And this is where the concept of the CrossFit Games came about, because they tested it. They had the real peanut roaster on Dave Castro's mum's ranch, and they threw in multitude of different activities, tasks, exercises in there, and they randomly pulled it out and they selected who was the fittest person on earth at that time. Granted, there was only about 40 participants, but you can obviously see how that's grown on from there now, and it certainly backs up this concept. So that's the Hopper model, guys, and we like to say that he or she is only as good as your weakest element in there. So everyone's got that one thing that has that peanut roaster, that tombola kind of concept is being cranked and it's rotating round and round. You're thinking, oh, please, no, don't let it be, don't let it be. If you're thinking that, whatever elements they are, or whatever element that is, or exercise that is, that's the thing that you truly want to work on the most, guys. That's how you're going to see the biggest increase in your performance and your work capacity and your overall fitness. Okay, the Hopper model. So next, metabolic pathways, your engine systems. Okay, on here, on this line, we have power/work, and then on the bottom line, your timeline, okay? So how long or how much power you can work for. So the first one, the blue line, is your phosphogenic, which is basically your creatine reserves, that big bout of high power energy, which comes straight from being stored in your muscles. Utilize that. Only lasts for short periods of time. This could be seen as things like a 1 rep max deadlift or a high power bout of energy of like a 100 meter sprint. Take Usain Bolt, for instance. This lasts normally anywhere between 0 to 10 seconds. It's possibly the reason you see Usain Bolt slow down towards the end of the 100 meter mark, not because he's got it in the bag, but more so that's that pathway burning out and him going into his second engine system, which is the glycolytic or your lactic acid, okay? That horrible, dreaded stuff that builds up in the muscles, guys, kind of makes you feel like you can't do anything. It does feel like a massive hindrance, but it's also a fuel for one system. And then this is normally, the reason that's so disgusting is because we live in it quite a lot. So we like to try and utilize these two pathways as much as possible because they also build on the third pathway. The third pathway then, your oxidative, that's basically your heart and lungs, guys. If you think of this, of anything off the couch, doing something at low power to running an ultra marathon like distance, that's your third engine pathway. There's 4 of these guys, but there's only 3 that we're really concerned in. But if there was 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, the idea, again, our defined terms is we want to be equally balanced in each one of these pathways. So we don't want to be Usain Bolt and we don't want to be Mo Farah. In an ideal world, if this was our only definition and running was our thing, then we'd be leaning towards the 800 metre sprinter. The person who could fare decent in this first pathway and decent in this pathway and very, very good in their own pathway. Unlike the other two people that can only fare very well in their one domain that they live in continuously. So avoiding specialised training. That then takes us on to the 10 physical domains or the 10 physical skills. So this was taken straight from the guys that own Dynamax med balls, the med balls that we use, guys, for wall balls and med ball cleans. They'd already come up with their defined terms, and Greg took that. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. We did what we do best. We are the pirates of the fitness community. So that's absolutely fantastic, guys. We'll utilise that. And we took it a stage further and defining that again, you want to be equally balanced in all attributes of these. So cardiovascular, respiratory endurance, stamina, strength, power, speed, and then coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance. Okay? Now, the top ones, physiological adaptations, where you're basically changing yourself physiologically. So, like cellular, like transformations, muscle growth, that kind of thing, guys. And then the bottom ones are neurological adaptations. So this is like your central nervous system, changing things. So, for instance, you don't deadlift like this anymore, you now deadlift like this. You've rewired your system, you've mapped it different to assist you with a certain task or skill. And then these two bad boys in the center, power and speed, are both. Hence the reason we tend to work more towards hard and fast and power output, because again, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck, guys. One thing we quite clearly know is what you have to be careful with in training, guys, is if you work too much on any of these single things or two things, they can have a massive negative effect to the other attributes to your fitness. So if you take, for instance, if you just go running all the time at long distance, you're going to improve your stamina, you're going to improve your cardiovascular respiratory endurance, that goes without saying, but you're probably going to deplete your strength and your power output and your overall speed, okay? Well, there is no probably about it, it's an absolute fact, okay? Likewise, if you spend too much time working in these areas, you're never going to improve these areas. So Eddie Hall isn't going to run a half marathon anytime soon. So again, the defining terms to be equally balanced across them 10 physical domains. And if there's something you lack in, you again need to hit it, flat out, face on, and work more to bring that area or that chink in your armour. If you get that hole filled, your overall fitness goes up exponentially, okay? Which you'll see now on our turn. So, to define this in a single sentence, guys, work capacity across broad time and modal domains, okay? Being able to do real work, being able to move large loads over long distances quickly, that is true fitness. It can be measured as long as you've got a stopwatch, you've got your time duration. As long as you've got your work or task, we're going to move this object from there to there. So we need a tape ruler and we're going to measure that, and it's 2 meters and it weighs 50 kg. So we can measure that, and that can be measured in you scientific geeks can go crazy there, foot-pound per square inches, you can go horsepowers, but anything you come up with can now be graphed on a chart. So we can take a multitude of tasks. Using these, we're going to select from that, randomization, let's go for, what is it? It's a run. Okay, what type of engine domain is that? That's this. What kind of things do you need? You need this, you need this, you need this, so on and so forth. Throw it in there and we're going to measure it. Provided you've got a tape measure, you've got a time duration, i.e. a stopwatch, and you've got what it's going to be, i.e. what's the work. You're just going to move yourself. How much do you weigh? Let's put that in there. And then you've got that distance divided by the time it takes you, produces a power output, okay? which can then be defined in scientific, like for all the geeks out there, pounds per square inch. You can go for horsepower, and then we transfer that and we map it onto a graph, and there we have X marks the spot. Okay, once the calculation's been done, and then we throw something else in there, and that's going to be a 1 rep max deadlift. So how much did the individual lift, at what elevation did they lift it to, okay, to what distance, where did it travel, how long did it take, again, X marks the spot, and we keep going, and we throw everything in there. Over duration, a long time, okay, we don't want to just annually test something, we want to be testing something weekly, monthly, yearly, so on and so forth, and then across there, you'll have all different gauges. And then basically we map that then, and that will give us a power curve, and then all areas underneath the curve is the individual's fitness. So what must we do to improve the following year, the following month, the following 5 years, whatever it might be? Increase these, and you'll increase the curve, and therefore increase everything under the curve. So, work capacity across broad time on model domains. Okay guys, that concludes this lecture. Hope it makes sense.